Hey guys, Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we build business, create community, find freedom, and share success. It's Monday morning, which means it's time for another Money Making Minute, and I've got another good one for you. I'm out in my cold shop. The weather is getting much colder here. I know it might not be the case for you guys, but this video was inspired by a post by Glenn Tate. If you know him, he was the author of 299 Days, just an awesome kind of prepper related fiction. It was really good. Follow him on Facebook, and he recently relocated from Washington to Montana, and he was asking some questions about how to make sure his car would start in the cold. And I thought I would share my knowledge with it. I put it all together and I realized this is something I need to share with you guys. So I want to talk to you guys today about how to make sure your car will start in the dead of winter. Alright guys, real quick, if you're new here and you want to know more about who I am, there it is, toolmantim.co. Run by there, you'll find the monthly newsletter, the weekly podcast, my social links, and the shop, where we have over 100 products from Amazon that I've used in my handyman business that have made me money or saved me money. Stuff like painting, hand tools, painting tools, landscaping tools, cordless DeWalt gear, and of course my favorite, preparedness items. So check that out. Anything you buy will support the channel, and I very much appreciate that. Okay guys, so if you're new here, if you happen to find this on YouTube search, welcome. I thought this would be a fun one. I love dealing with the cold. I'm always out in the cold, and one of the big things living on the prairies is how in the world do we keep our cars starting when it gets that cold? Now, I moved here from the East Coast, so I grew up in a place where minus 10 Celsius was horribly cold. Like, almost never seen it. Barely got below freezing for the most part. A little bit, but not a ton. To a place where it is very common to get into the mid-minus 30s and stay there for weeks at a time. So when I come out here, I realized one of the weird things I noticed was all the public parking spots, anywhere where people would be parked more than an hour or two, all had electrical outlets in it. And I thought, well, that's strange. That must be, I don't know what it's for. Well, it turns out it's to plug your car in, and not because they're, Teslas or, electric gas hybrids or anything like that. It's to plug in the block heater to keep your engine warm when you stop, because even a couple of hours, even an hour in minus 40, and your engine might not want to turn over. So why is that? Well, two reasons. Number one, you've got a battery. A battery is made to work at kind of ideal outdoor not room temperatures, but your standard 70 degrees Fahrenheit is really good for a battery, I guess, at least normal outdoor temperatures. The colder you get, the less power your battery has to draw on, the harder it is. So your cold cranking amps is a rating on your battery that tells you how many amps you're going to have at a certain temperature to turn your car over. So number one, the colder it gets, the less power you have in your battery to turn your engine over. Now, number two, on top of that, you also have oil in your engine. The colder it gets, the thicker that gets, which also makes the engine harder to turn over. So you've got this 1-2 punch of your battery being less powerful simply because it's colder out, and your car needing more power from the battery to turn the engine over through that thick, sludgy oil. There's a few things you can do. You can change to a lighter weight oil in the wintertime, but honestly, none of it really helps that much. So it turned out, my learning experience when I first moved out here was simply, there's about 3 different options for making your car warmer, I guess. So other than, of course, parking it in an underground or indoor heated garage all night, every night, which helps for sure. An electric car starter, remote car starter, huge help as well. However, the biggest thing, of course, is making sure that you keep your car, your engine compartment or your battery warm. So the first thing, and this is what we had when we moved to Saskatchewan years and years ago, the first time it got really cold, our van wouldn't start because it was a van that was acclimatized to the East Coast and wasn't used to it. So I went to the local Napa and I asked, what do I do? And they said, get a battery blanket. I thought, what the hell is a battery blanket? So I'll put some pictures up here to show you what they look like. And they're literally a heating pad, like when your mom has a sore neck or whatever, your wife, and they put a heating blanket or heating pad over it. Well, it's kind of like that. It's basically the shape of a battery. You take your battery out, wrap it around, zip tie it in place, put it back in there, and then run a cord out through your hood. And that allows it basically keeps it warm, tricking the battery thinking it's nice and toasty, and allows it to pull the full amount of cold cranking amps, or cranking amps period, out of that battery, and gives you normally enough juice to turn your engine over. Now that's the cheapest, easiest, the easiest one to install. And it's the least permanent, and if you move somewhere, it's probably the best option that you have. Now, number two, this is common with a lot of the farmers. So the first one is for the battery. The next two are for the oil. Now, this one looks like a patch. So it's a magnetic patch, almost similar to, like, you see those things that people get stuck to. I don't know if they're diodes or what they're called for, checking heart rate and stuff when they're in surgery. They're a little bit bigger than that. They're not made out a lot, and they're quite expensive for what they do. But you just stick it up on your oil pan, and it has a really thin wire that runs out, and again, comes to a plug. You can plug that in. It's not as efficient or as effective as the third option I'm going to talk about, but again, if you're moving to a cold area, and I'll put a picture up to show you what that guy looks like as well. We used to sell them at the farm store where I worked because it was really good for tractors. And you just stick it to the underside of the oil pan. It helps keep the oil warm, at least down in the oil pan itself. And again, if you can't get a warmer battery, maybe you can heat up your oil, thin it out a little bit, and allow those cold cranking amps to be able to turn your motor over. So that's the idea. So you stick that up there. It's like a stick-on heating pad for your oil pan. And it works pretty good too. And then the third one, and this is the one out here at least in my area that come from the factory. You can get them installed as well, but they're a block heater. And they're basically permanently installed into the block of the engine itself. These are the most effective for sure because it helps keep all the oil up in your engine block nice and toasty warm, or at least, it's hard to keep anything toasty warm at -40. But if you're looking for a permanent solution, that's the way to go. Now, no matter which way you end up going, one funny thing about living out here is that you're always going to see all these people. They have their cord sticking out the front. So you basically just loop it out and then find the little gap, shut the hood of your car, and then have it sticking out there. And then everybody has an extension cord running from their house out. I like a light up one so I can see it. A lot of times it gets buried in the snow. But block heaters are absolutely the way to go. So if you're looking for something permanent that you get installed in the engine block itself, go with a block heater. That's the way. So I thought you guys might like, even if you're, Ted living down in Florida who will never have a need for any of these items, number one, it's cool information to have just in case, who knows what happens. Hell literally freezes over and you need one. But number two, I just love learning stuff like this. So I thought I'd share it with you guys. If I can find good recommendations for Amazon products, I will put links down there too for anybody who come across this video and is interested in finding a solution to keep your engine warm. But I just wanted to share with you guys the items that we use here that are a little bit different than anywhere else that'll help keep your engine going when it's cold outside. And guys, if you have another solution that doesn't require, setting your vehicle on fire, share it in the comments below. Let me know because I love hearing everybody's collective knowledge. And then I turn around and I share it in videos with other people, which I love doing, guys. So, and if you're new, introduce yourself, hit the subscribe button, stick around. And as always, guys, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.